Hey, Ryan. I'm just curious, being in a quarterback sort of competition here with Taylor Heineke, how do you kind of view this camp, and what do you want to kind of show Ron Rivera and Scott Turner?
I just try to focus on myself, the things I know I need to get better at, how I can progress in this offense, learning it better, feeling it out better. And it's been a good first few days just in terms of retention and the whole group, just in terms of getting out there. It's not necessarily the easiest offense to learn, but I've been real impressed with the guys. Now it's just doing it every single day as we put new stuff in and continue to get better. But just working with all these guys, getting on the same page, having them know what I expect of them, and vice versa, that's really important, and that's a big part of what I'm going to try to get accomplished as well.
Hi, Ryan. Yesterday, Terry was talking about the work that you guys kind of did together in the spring. What do you feel like you and the other receivers kind of accomplished off the bat in the spring?
Well, even just getting to meet them as people, I think that's an important part of it. And, the couple weeks that we had together were so valuable for me and for them, I think, for this team in general, just being a very young team and getting some of these base concepts put in, even just getting the work in on the field, hearing it in a huddle, so much different than being on a Zoom call or trying to figure it out on a piece of paper. So I think just the familiarity of each other, of the offense, of lining up and having to run a route, that kind of stuff was real good for us this offseason.
Yeah. What kind of progress do you feel like you guys have made recently, and what kinds of things are you guys still trying to work on?
Well, I think we basically have established our baseline. In terms of the knowledge that we have right now, now we just need to continue to build upon that. And I think things always change too, and guys change a little bit when you get to the games. So we'll get to that first preseason game and see if the guy that's been running the in cut at 20 yards the whole time all of a sudden runs it at 12 and freaks out a little bit. There's some stuff like that where we need to get some more reps and just get a good feel for all these guys. And that's what training camp is for. It'll be a progression for us, and we'll have a day or two where maybe it's not so good, but we've got to continue to be on that upward progression.
You're a Florida guy. How does the heat here compare, and does it make you want to dump the beard on a day like this?
It does not compare. I could tell you that right now. Whether it was training camp in Houston or Nashville or Tampa or Miami, and especially Miami and Houston, it's very nice out right now. So the beard is just part of it for me. I don't know if it's hot or cold anymore. It's just my normal feeling. So.
Is there anything you do to keep everybody focused? You got the crowd, you got the heat, you got everything going on. How do you keep your focus?
I think that's a feel thing as it's going on. Sometimes there is ultra focus and nothing needs to be said, and other times guys are lagging up to the line or slow getting out of the huddle. Maybe we've got a personnel change that didn't happen as crisp as it could. So that kind of stuff, as it comes up, you just stay on top of it in practice.
This is a bit of a random one, but your first time being sacked in the NFL was Sean Taylor was on the other end of it. Do you have any recollection of that, and any memory of facing Sean overall?
I just saw a Sean Taylor jersey out there and flinched, because it's just like, he was obviously an incredible player, and at that time I probably didn't know who sacked me because I was trying to figure out who I was in the huddle with, but. Yeah, he was obviously a great player.
Thank you.
Ryan, you've obviously gone through a lot of different training camps, and you know how this is going to go day to day to some degrees. But I'm sure there's some mile markers for you in terms of getting ready for the season. What are like one or two things that for you you're anticipating coming up that you'll kind of know where you are, maybe where the offense is getting ready for the season?
It's definitely a marathon. We don't need to come out and put every single play we have in right away, and I don't need to come out and throw 300 balls every day. It's going to be a progression. We're going to build up on this thing, but there are just certain moments, certain routes that happen. I hit Terry on one of the end of practice today where that kind of connection is something that you build off of, something that when we've got a play that we need and we're at Dallas, when it's a gotta-have-it situation, I've got that in the back of my mind just thinking, okay, I know Terry can make this play, and he's got a lot of confidence in me being able to put that ball up to him. So some of it, maybe not necessarily mile markers, but just moments. There are going to be moments in training camp. I had a play with Logan Thomas today that before we had the play, I talked to him about just the feel that he needed to have and his awareness, and all of a sudden we run the play, we get a particular look, and he's in the exact right spot at the right time. So building those type of relationships and trust with guys, that's kind of what I'm looking for, whether it's a certain route or a certain coverage, but figuring out who those guys are and, the situations that I can rely and trust guys in.
And I got to imagine that as somebody who has traveled through the league, that when you get these moments where the instincts kick in, you know where people are and they know what you're going to do. That's got to be so exciting to start to feel like, hey, we're kind of figuring each other out.
Yeah, that's helpful. And just another example from practice today, Adam Humphries, had a route I thought he was going to do something different on, but all of a sudden I saw the body language he gave and I knew exactly where he was going. So there's stuff like that. And with Adam and I, maybe there's a little bit more history, but there's little subtleties like that with some of these guys that you pick up on, you learn, and that's going to help us in some of these games in the fourth quarter.
Hey, Ryan, you've talked about how you felt like this is maybe the best situation you've been at in your career, and you signed here to be the guy and all that. And Ron has talked about the competition, et cetera. But for you, at what point in your career do you get to that point where you're not really looking around, you just focus on yourself and not worrying about competition, this or that, and just more about your game?
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing. I think early on that's what it was every year for me, was you're doing the numbers game. And, are they going to keep 3 quarterbacks or 2? And, boy, if they keep a fullback this year, maybe you just early on, that's kind of what I always did, just trying to figure it out, and you just learn that is not productive. What's productive is just to focus on myself every single day, focus on the things I need to work on, and with that, being the leader of a unit, sometimes my focus isn't just about me. When I say that, it's about everybody. It's about the tempo to the line. It's about, guys being into it, guys making plays, whatever it is, but that was something I had to learn throughout my career, that it was all about me because there's only so much I could control. So focusing on what I could control and doing the things that put me in a better situation to make me better, that's what I have done for the last however many years, and it's really, really helped me out and work.
And then when you get in these situations and maybe you don't get every first team rep or whatever, how do you learn to maybe maximize the reps that you're getting to make sure that you're going to be able to show what you want to show? And I know you're getting a lot of reps, but if it's not everyone, is there?
Yeah, just staying mentally sharp at all times, and sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing if, again, I'm not throwing 300 balls a day, Sometimes just staying sharp and watching, and even if it wasn't my rep, watching another guy do something and going up and talking to him about, I loved what you did because, or hey, we could get sharper on your break or whatever it is, but just staying in tune, staying sharp mentally, and just making sure that I'm into it at all times.
You mentioned the complexity of Scott Turner's offense. I was just kind of curious, what makes it difficult to learn? What do you kind of make of it? Just how
some of it's just the words, the verbiage, that whatever offense you go to, it's going to be a little bit different. And so that part of it for me is just doing it, calling it, getting comfortable with it. That won't be that big of an issue. Some of it is how you're attacking a defense, and some of the scheme isn't necessarily what I've done the last few years, but it's been long proven to be great in how they've done it. So there's just all kinds of different things that go into it. But the biggest thing for me and what I want to get out of this camp is being able to anticipate what Scott's going to call, being able to be in a situation, and when he calls something, to know, okay, this is his expectation of why he's calling this play. And for him, for us to be in a situation, for me to be wanting a play and for that play to come into my ear, thinking, okay, we're on the same page, that kind of stuff is just going to come as we work together. So those are the things, the chemistry between Scott and I is something that I'm really excited about, and it'll just continue to get better as we play together.
Hey, Ryan, I wonder, is there any way to build that chemistry other than repetitions and getting plays in, or is there something else you can do to maybe help that process?
A lot of it is repetition, certain periods that maybe aren't scripted in practice. You put in situations that, you didn't really expect. Okay, you got to pull something out. What's it going to be? What's your go-to call here? And as you get into a game week and you game plan and you talk about what we're doing on certain third downs, that can also be pre-thought out and practiced a little bit, but training camp, it'll definitely be, we'll get thrown into a situation. I want to be able to anticipate his play call and know why he's doing it.
And a little bit of a random follow-up for you.
Yeah.
You were really, really good against pressure last year, and I wonder if that was something that maybe you saw or tweaked, or if that was circumstance. I wonder what the key was there.
I mean, as I've had more kids, just 7 of them coming at me now, it just becomes a little bit more normal. That's my comfort zone now. It's weird when I'm like, when I was coming for OTAs and I'm sitting in a hotel room by myself, like that was a little bit weird. So I think just family life helps that out.
Your rapport with Logan Thomas seems pretty strong. I mean, what have you seen from him just in your short time working with him? And do you get a sense that just his quarterback background, does that help him? Does it help you in working with him?
Yeah, well, it definitely helps him in that he sees it differently than a normal tight end would see it. It also helps our relationship just in the things we're able to discuss, things we're able to talk to on the sideline about, whatever it is. But he just has a way about him of finding the open spot. But obviously, like his big body, his length, his smarts, and then just the catch radius. I mean, he's a very versatile tight end that can kind of do it all. And I think, when you sit, and I haven't known him for very long, but so happy for him and getting the new contract that he did, because when you sit and you're trying to build a football team and you want to figure out who the pillars of your program are and the guys that you want to be examples for your team, that's a guy we want everybody to look up to, his work ethic, kind of his path here and how it wasn't smooth, but it was a rocky path where he was on a couple different teams, worked his butt off, and look where he is now. That's the cool story that some of these young guys can look up to, and say, okay, it is possible, and then go ask them, how the heck did you do it, and watch them every day.
Obviously, vaccinations are a big topic. As the leader of the offense, I'd imagine you enjoy being in the lunchroom with the guys, things like that. Do you make a personal appeal to them? How do you approach that?
I mean, I've had plenty of guys engage me in conversation, questions, guys that have been vaccinated, guys that haven't been vaccinated. And I just try to open, honest discussion about what I think, and it is a personal choice. I mean, that's the end of the discussion for me. Like I'm going to respect whatever you do. If you're making a decision because you think it is best for you and your family, beautiful. And my personal decision may be different than that, And so, yeah, I mean, I had, let's see, how many kids were in school last year? 6 of the 7 were in school last year. And as soon as I can get my older kids vaccinated, we did. And the younger kids, as soon as that rolls out, we'll get them vaccinated. But they'll all wear masks in school this year and follow the protocols. And that's just kind of the world we live in right now. So that's the way I go about it, respect everybody else's decision, and then make mine and what I think is best for my family.
I know we've only been here for 3 days, but what have you really appreciated about your team so far? Or what is something that none of us see that makes you believe, okay, this team's going to be just fine in 2021?
I think one thing is we like each other. I mean, and not everybody has to like each other, but guys get along. It's got a real team feel to it. And sometimes in the NFL, that's missing a little bit because guys are there for a year, or it's just cutthroat with guys competing against each other. And it's a very competitive team on the field, but a close team off the field. And even through what everybody went through last year and some of the protocols and things this year, guys seem to really like each other, and I think that's a good thing.
You talk about building relationships and how important that is, and we've heard from Ron and we've heard from Terry talk about the type of leader that they see you being. You're not the rah-rah guy, not the cheerleader, but I want you to describe to us what kind of leader do you feel like you've been so far in these few days?
I mean, I want to be the guy that when we're in the fourth quarter, when we're facing some adversity and people don't know what to do, they can look to me. I've been through a lot of my career, been through a lot of my life, and I just try to stay steady. I want to be the same guy every day. I want to be the same guy in those situations. And so if I can provide a calmness for them in those biggest moments, that's kind of the guy that I want to be.